And finally, before we get to your questions, we have some news to announce.
Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, Commissioner of the WNBA, just announced that starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change.
The WNBA just dropped a big surprise during the playoffs. And it's all thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect. Guess what? They're changing the rules big time for 2025. But here's the real question. Is it too little? Too late? Will anything really change? Clark's playoff exit left arenas half empty and ratings in the gutter. Now the league's scrambling to pick up the pieces, but are these new rules really going to fix what's broken? Let's talk about Clark's impact. She didn't just play the game, she rewrote it. 62 shattered records, arenas packed to the rafters, TV ratings through the roof, Clark and the Fever becoming a nightly highlight reel, and fans couldn't get enough.
Well, I knew the atmosphere was going to be electric when they announced Caitlin's name in the dark and the fans went crazy.
But here's the reality. The moment Clark left, it all came crashing down. We're talking ratings nosediving by 80% in some games. Arenas suddenly looking like ghost towns, crowd sections tarped off so it doesn't look bad on live TV. Tell me honestly, are you even surprised? Clark was carrying this league on her back and now she's gone golfing. Can the WNBA survive without its golden goose? These new rules better be good because right now it's looking pretty bleak. Before we break it down, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Are you ready? Let's go.
Staying with the WNBA playoffs, let's stay here. Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
So the WNBA's in panic mode, and they're about to pull out all the stops. But here's the real shocker. These new rules, they're not just tweaks. We're talking a full-on overhaul that might make or break the league. The question is, will it be enough to fill the Caitlin-sized hole in their ratings? Or will the league continue to go back into irrelevance? Let's break down these desperate moves. First up, they're expanding the regular season from 40 to 44 games with the entrance of a new team in 2025, the Golden State Valkyries. That's right. 4 more chances to watch your favorite team.
Getting to go to multiple arenas so that people that are watching at home can see this environment in a multitude of cities. It's amazing. I love it. The growth continues.
But wait, there's more. The finals are getting a facelift too. We're going from a best-of-5 to a best-of-7 series.
Starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change to a best-of-7 series.
Yes.
And the format will be 2-2-1-1-1.
Because clearly, in the mind of the league, more games means more fans and more revenue. And get this, they're shaking up the first round of playoffs. It's switching to a 1-1-1 format, giving the lower seed one home game, guaranteed.
I was to say for the fans, it's a benefit for your team. It's played well enough to get into the playoffs. So now that your fans will be able to see your team play at home during those playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember the Fever Sun series? The Indiana Fever were never able to come back and play for their crowd in Gainbridge because of all the controversy in Game 1 and 2. I guess they finally figured lower seeds need to play in front of their home crowd too. Now, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's trying to sell us on these changes like they're going to save the league. She's all, it's a constant balancing of the schedule. Yeah, right. More like a constant scramble to keep the lights on without your star player.
With the increased attention this year, there's also been increased scrutiny about the quality of refereeing. Curious if there has been any conversation about whether it's referee pay, referee training, anything to ensure that is as good as it can be.
But let's be real for a second. Are these changes really addressing what fans want? Sure, more games sound great on paper. But what about the stuff that actually matters, like player safety and fair officiating? Absolutely dismissed by Engelbert.
Yeah, and the one thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list. Obviously, not every they're humans.
It's like they're slapping a fresh coat of paint on a crumbling house and calling it renovated. Let's please not insult the fans. They saw what Clark brought to the table. Not just insane skills, but a whole new style of play. Fast-paced, joyful, exciting team basketball. No-look passes, logo threes, teammates actually playing with each other. And now, it's back to business as usual, just with a longer season. Think about it. Clark exits the playoffs and suddenly half the arena's empty. TV ratings nosedive faster than the Chicago Sky train wreck. And the WNBA's brilliant solution is to give us more of what we're already not watching? Make it make sense. You've got to wonder if anyone in the league office is actually listening to the fans. Because here's what they're saying. We want the kind of basketball Clark played. We want fair calls. We want to see our favorite players protected on the court. But instead of addressing those core issues, we get more games.
I came to see Caitlin Clark tonight. Oh, gotta watch number 22.
I've been watching Caitlin for a couple of years, and since then I've dreamed about coming to a game.
And let's talk about those ratings for a second. With Clark, you had games pulling in over 1 million viewers, with her playoff games at 2 to 3 million. Without her, you're lucky if you crack 500,000. That's not a dip, that's a free fall. No amount of extra playoff games is going to fix that kind of ratings disaster. So what's the end game here? Are they hoping that by the time the 2025 season rolls around, fans will have forgotten about the fundamental issues destroying the league and just be thrilled with a couple extra regular season games? Or maybe they're banking on the rivalries narrative to finally catch fire.
One white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
Because remember, in Kathy Engelbert's world, it's more than just one player. Here's the kicker. These changes might actually backfire. More games mean more wear and tear on players. Longer playoff series could lead to more injuries. And if the officiating doesn't improve, those extra games are just more opportunities for fans to get frustrated and tune out. It's almost like the league's in denial. They had lightning in a bottle with Clark. And instead of figuring out how to recreate that magic, they're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Fans aren't asking for more mediocre basketball. They want excitement. They want fair play. They want to see their favorite players thrive. Look, I get it. Change is hard, but slapping on a few extra games and calling it progress, that's not going to cut it. The WNBA needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask themselves, are these changes really addressing what fans want? Or are they just a desperate attempt to milk the Caitlin Clark effect? If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
Everyone's talking about rule changes, but they're ignoring the elephant in the room. What if I told you Caitlin Clark single-handedly rewrote the WNBA's playbook? Not just on the court, but in boardrooms and living rooms across America. Let's talk numbers because they don't lie. Clark's jersey became the top-selling rookie jersey in WNBA history. That's not just a win, it's a slam dunk for a league desperate for star power. But it goes way beyond merch. During all her games in 2024, over 54 million combined viewers tuned in. That's not a typo. 54 million. When's the last time that happened?
And the Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history.
Clarkonomics, my friend.
But here's where it gets real. With Clark on the court, viewership for nationally televised games averaged a cool 1.2 million. Without her, it plummets to 440,000. That's not a dip, that's a nosedive. And it's not just TV. The WNBA's attendance record shattered during Clark's season, with over 1.5 million fans showing up to games. People weren't just watching, they were filling arenas. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but it's just one player, right? Wrong. Clark wasn't just a player, she was a cultural moment. She made women's basketball must-see TV. She got people talking about the WNBA at water coolers and on social media. When was the last time you saw that kind of buzz around the league?
She's growing to be the face of the WNBA, reason why her presence on court grabs just as much interest as some of the biggest names over in the men's event. The viewership of the regular season saw 54 million people tune in to watch the WNBA, a boost of 170% from last year.
So why are fans tuning out now? It's not just about Clark, it's about what she represented. Fast-paced, high-scoring, edge-of-your-seat basketball. That's what people want to see. And now, it feels like we're back to the usual snooze fest. But there's more to it. Fans aren't just missing Clark's game. They're fed up with the league's core issues. Player safety, a joke. Fair officiating, don't make me laugh. Remember the eye poke incident? Or how about that lackluster Rookie of the Year ceremony? These aren't just minor hiccups. They're symptoms of a league that's lost touch with what fans and players actually want.
That's what's called being a consumer. You get to buy what you want to purchase.
And let's talk about management for a hot second. Kathy Engelbert and her crew seem more interested in short-term gains than building a sustainable competitive league. They struck gold with Clark, but instead of using that momentum to elevate the entire league, they rode the Clark wave until it crashed. Now they're left scrambling, trying to patch the holes in a sinking ship with these new rules. So, Engelbert and company, do you think tweaking a few rules will save the day? Please. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The stuff the WNBA doesn't want you to focus on. These rule changes aren't just a band-aid on a broken leg, they're a smokescreen hiding some serious issues. Let's break it down, starting with player safety. Remember when Clark got poked in the eye during that playoff game? No foul called, despite how nasty it looked. That's not just bad officiating, it's downright dangerous.
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me, but no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her, so obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am.
And it's not an isolated incident. Clark was on the receiving end of 17% of all flagrant fouls in the league during her rookie season. That's insane. One player taking that much hits? Was the Jordan rules in effect again and no one gave us the memo? But hey, at least she got that Rookie of the Year award, right? Wrong. Picture this. Clark, breaking records left and right, changing the game as we know it. And how does the WNBA celebrate? With a phone call, in a practice gym. No fanfare, no ceremony worthy of her historic achievements. It's like they didn't even want to acknowledge how much she'd done for the league. This is the kind of stuff that makes you wonder, does the WNBA even care about its stars? Or are they just looking for quick wins and easy headlines?
They decided that they were going to let her know she was Rookie of the Year with a phone call in Connecticut during a practice before a playoff game. You can't make this up.
And the irony, fans aren't buying it. They're not just missing Clark's game. They're fed up with the league's core issues. Player safety, fair officiating, recognition for star players. Where's the press conferences on these issues? These aren't just minor hiccups. They're symptoms of a league that's lost touch with what fans and players actually want, and no amount of extra games or playoff tweaks is going to fix that. So what's the solution? Well, it's not as simple as changing a few rules. The WNBA needs a complete overhaul. We're talking top to bottom, inside out. They need to address player safety head-on, with clear guidelines and consequences for dangerous play. They need to invest in better training for officials, to ensure fair and consistent calls across the board.
Let me speak for every one of those fans when I say, I will put my time, my effort, my enjoyment into whatever makes me happy. I enjoy watching her play, and that makes me happy.
And for crying out loud, they need to start treating their stars like stars. When you've got a player like Clark breaking records and bringing in millions of viewers, you roll out the red carpet. You make a big deal out of it. You use that momentum to lift up the entire league. So here we are, folks. The WNBA's desperately trying to patch up the Clark-sized hole in their league with these new rules. More games, longer playoffs. Sounds great, right? But let's be real. Are a few extra matchups going to fix the real issues? We're talking about a league that can't keep its stars safe, can't officiate fairly, and can't even bother to celebrate its biggest talent properly. And now, without Clark, ratings are in free fall and arenas are emptier than a politician's promises. Here's the million-dollar question. Is this too little, too late, or are these even the right changes to begin with? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like the WNBA is trying to put out a forest fire with a water pistol. Will the league learn from the Caitlin Clark effect, or are we watching women's pro basketball fade into irrelevance? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.